I do my best. I really do. I used to do a litter pick on a Saturday morning. I've always liked nature. Used to take our Maisie walking in the woods when she was little. We even went camping. She loved it. Now the dumps where the woods used to be, well, all that stuff's got to go somewhere. It's where exactly that bothers me. I was at the dump before all this happened, and I said to the dump man, can I recycle the shower curtain? You know, the ones that go all manky and black mould creeps along the bottom. He looked at us. You again, he says. Can I recycle this, I say? He nods his head in the direction of general household waste. Well, I'm suspicious of that. So I think, can I reuse it? What can I use it for? It's already been washed 100 times. It's nice. It's got a nice picture of big rocks on it, sort of Japanesey. You can sit on the loo looking at it and imagine diving off the big smooth rocks. A car horn tooted behind. The dump bloke gestures for me to move on. He doesn't like me. He thinks I cannot see the eye roll when I pull up and my little Fiat Punto filled to the gunnels with my latest collection. Bob, he's called. I can see it on his plastic, non-recyclable lanyard. One day, I was asking how to recycle our Maisie's countless cellophane windows off those takeaway sandwich boxes, for which the dump, as it turns out, does not have a home. He took a step back, hands on his hips, sighed, and said that I asked too many imponderables. I was a bit nonplussed, so I said, well, I've washed them all now. What am I going to do with all these little windows? He sighed again and said, are they crinkly? Said I wasn't sure. He said, well, do they crackle when you rub them between your fingers, or do they slip and slide? I said, somewhere between the two. He said, there you go, the great imponderable. If they were slippy, I'd advise recycling with your carrier bags, and that being the case, they could have gone over there. But seeing as they've got a bit of crinkle or crackle to them, you're best off taking them home, and to be honest, burning them. I said other councils take them. I'd looked it up. He said that they required specialist treatment and that our council couldn't afford that just at the minute, choosing to focus on more important issues such as social care, transport and securing inward investment into the region. Can I recycle these then, I said, holding up a box of cleaned cat food pouches. Another great imponderable, he said, and the answer's no, you need TerraCycle for that. And he nodded his head in a self-satisfied manner, like he'd just won a particularly frustrating game of Scrabble and stomped off, leaving me feeling even more stupid than before, juggling boxes of imponderables. So I drove home. I didn't go back. Well, no one's been back. The world stopped and so did recycling and waste management. I looked up TerraCycle though, because a global pandemic's not going to stop the cat needing fed. Do you know, you have to buy a special box for over 100 quid. Separate out cat food, dog food pouches, etc. Clean them, store them in the box, then deliver them to a designated centre. Or for more money they'll come and get them. It's meant to be a community effort. Everybody clubs together to buy the special box. I did suggest it to my neighbour once, but she wasn't keen. Too expensive. Well, even a tenner, even a fiver's got more important uses when you're working 3 jobs and using a food bank. I work in the local hospital, cleaner. Nothing gets recycled as far as I know, unless it's medical or surgical. It all goes in one big rubbish skip. You know the food you take in when someone's poorly or had a fall or had a baby? All the food you can buy in the concessions. Yoghurt pots with the foil tops, drinks cartons, sandwich boxes with a bloomin' cellophane windows, plastic cake slice holders, all go at the same place and get carted off to landfill or somewhere. I did suggest to the systems manager that I could sort it. Bring in designated bin bags for different items. He said, did I not know there was a global pandemic on and report it is? They cut me hours, which wasn't brilliant timing with our Maisie's baby literally on the way. It was quite a difficult birth. Maisie had said she didn't want me there. Says I make too much fuss. In the end, I couldn't be there anyway. But at the end of my shift, I stayed in the car park and I waited in the car so I was nearby. Elijah live streamed from his phone. She was shouting the odds. She wasn't holding back. I admire that about her, actually. She doesn't take any crap, not like me. No, she has rules, she has routine, she's organised, she makes plans. Hearing her call out though, when it reached that point, that sound that comes from the deepest place. They didn't used to let women call out in childbirth. In me Mother's Day it was frowned on, seen as a sign of weakness, too upsetting for everyone. None of that for our Maisie. Oh. I wish I could tell her that. She wouldn't have it though. TMI. Strictly at arm's length with our Maisie. In the end it all calmed down and the baby arrived. I FaceTimed Elijah. The baby was getting checked over. Maisie grunted at us, turned over and went to sleep. So I went home. I watched a bit of telly, thinking. There was this review of that man Trump's presidency. And there she was, that girl, all alone outside school on a Friday with a placard, staring straight at me. My phone pinged. Elijah had sent a photo, the baby, all scrunched up in a cot, looking just like Maisie did, and looking just like that girl. I stared and stared. The news was followed by a wildlife documentary. Oh, it wasn't about wildlife, it was about wild death. It had this swelling music and these waves of ocean choking with rubbish, dumping themselves on the shore. Birds and fish were trapped in there, some alive, flailing, trying to escape, most not. All I could hear was that young girl saying, "All my life I have been like the invisible girl at the back that no one sees or listens to." I couldn't stop thinking about what was going to happen next, about the turtles and the whales and the beach where if you have a campfire, the plastic in the sand melts. And we've got this thing, it's a new word, it's a new thing, where all the tiny microplastics from the broken down plastic and all those stupid cleaning product microbeads, even though those have been stopped now, but they're still in the ocean and in prawn stomachs or something, and in the heat they amalgamate with the sand and you get this thing called plastiglomerate. That's what geologists call it. And so it's been called into being because it's a word, it's now a thing, like granite or marble. And apparently that's where we are now. I must have fallen asleep in the chair because birdsong woke me up. Really bright, cheerful birdsong, like a ton of birds, a hallelujah chorus of them chirping away fit to burst. It was quite something. Apart from work, early morning shopping, me daily walk and looking in on the baby through their window, they still haven't given her a name. I've stayed in that chair for pretty much a year, doing a lot of reading. Always on the internet, till my credit runs out. Early on, our Maisie announces she's not going to feed the baby herself. It's disgusting and it hurts. Well, I tried to say about the plastic and the waste and the expense, but she just dismisses me. In the olden days, babies' bottles used to be made of glass. Too heavy to carry around, my mother used to say. More weight to tether women to the home. God bless plastic, she used to say. But even recycled plastic costs a fortune to produce. Steel bottles are heavy, mind. Bring back water fountains, that's what I say. I got given me steel bottle from work. It's got a rainbow on it. Works hard. Not seeing Maisie, Elijah and the baby for ages. It's hard. Maisie didn't seem to mind lockdown. Seemed to suit our Maisie. I kept thinking, is this what it's going to be like forever? Wards at double, triple capacity. Masks, gloves, wipes, gowns everywhere. running to stand still, always on call, never guaranteed a break. It's the same for Elijah. Maisie says she wants them to get wed and try for another ASAP. He's given up college and got a delivery job. I just can't keep thinking about everything anymore. Maybe I can just focus on the specifics. So, I got in from work and I'd promised myself to put the night aside for a bit of telly and a good sort out of a new recycling strategy. I was going to crack the code on all those imponderable symbols. PET, HDPE, PVC, LDPE, PP, PS, other. I'd found this thing online. Within each chasing arrows triangle, there is a number ranging from 1 to 7. The purpose of the number is to identify the type of plastic used in the product. Not all plastics are recyclable or even reusable. There are countless plastic-based products that cannot break down and cannot be recycled. I was going to try and put a smile on that activist teenager's face, sitting outside school all alone with a little placard, a little face telling me that it was all my fault and that I had to do something. So, I just put the oven on and the door went. I pushed my way through the kitchen, through the boxes of imponderables. The dump had been shut for months. And there was Elijah, with the baby and a ton of stuff, in lockdown, saying that the company had called him in for a shift, that he couldn't refuse and he needed the money. Well, I don't know what came over us. Now you come calling, I said. Why can't Maisie look after her own Ben? He said, she's exhausted. It's the pandemic. I said, we're all exhausted. We could all do with a break. He just stared at us. No, I said, that I was busy, that Maisie would just have to shift for herself. We've all got responsibilities. He looked shocked. He nearly called me something unacceptable, stopped himself, then stomped off with the baby and that polyvinyl chloride baggage in tow. Oh, my heart sank. Now I felt bad. But I was hungry, and you cannot think straight when you're hungry, as they call it. End of the month, so I knew the cupboards would be pretty much bare, and they were. I had a voucher, but the food bank closes at 4. There are 28 food banks in our district. I don't know anyone that doesn't use them. Most of us working or caring in some way or another. When I can, I like to do a big shop. I always donate a couple of items myself. Maybe a couple of budget pastas or a sauce or two. But I feel bad about that now. Because guess what? Apart from the sauces, which are anyway packed full of E numbers, there's palm oil. Do not get me started on palm oil and the orangutans. A while back, Maisie sent me this video of the poor trapped creature. But she can't have watched it all, because she'd text baby's first steps, followed by a crying with laughter emoji face. She can't have watched it all. She never does. Hashtag save the planet. I sat down. I was wrung out. I thought about Maisie and the baby and the orangutans and the pandemic. My phone pinged. Text from Maisie. One word. Selfish. They say that plastic never dies. That young girl on the telly or someone said it. Do they really understand what it's like for us? I'm sure she would if I could tell her. The thing is, the council does do its best. And if you can afford the more expensive stuff, then that is recyclable. Although according to the one show, it doesn't always happen. And that the council can't afford to do it properly, and that it gets sent to landfill or somewhere. And then that gets exported because they don't know what to do with it. Then China sends it back because they're not taking any more of our crap. And then it goes somewhere else. And then it careers around the ocean on tankers, bumping into huge plastic islands and dead albatrosses and sharks and penguins, and starving polar bears try to eat it, then each other, then us, and we're all going to get washed away in a huge flood of our own... Recycling's just the tip of the melting iceberg, really. There's got to be something more I can do. No one cares. No one knows what to do. It's all too massive. So I fried an egg and ate chips. She was still watching me. That canny lass on the telly. I fell asleep in the chair again. My phone pinging woke me up. 4 a.m. The rolling news was rolling across the screen of the telly. I could see that it was from our Maisie. Panic bloomed in me belly. I opened up the message. She'd written, "You still awake? Baby's asleep, but she'll be awake again in half an hour. It's been like this all night. I've been doing some scrolling." I remembered what you said, so I watched it all. It was the video of that poor trapped creature in the burning forest, surrounded by digging machines and people screaming at it. People who are destroying the forest for a palm oil plantation. Palm oil to put in our shampoo, in our biscuits, in our bread, in our chips. People just like us. People with no money, probably just doing their badly paid jobs. The poor creature runs to the end of a smouldering felled tree. The end of the line. Oh, you know the video. We've all seen it. And I thought about how that's all of us. Surrounded, trapped, consumed by the sheer enormity of it all. But carrying on, struggling to pay the bills, having babies, living, dying, never doing enough. Maisie texts, "She's awake again. Are you all right?" "Am I all right?" I said out loud. I looked up, and there's these women on the telly, pretty hippie, but looking through their rainbow-coloured skirts and harem trousers and face paints, they're just like me. I turn the volume up, and they're singing fit to bust. People got the power, muffled but hearty through their colourful masks, and they're ignoring the coppers and the security guards. They're holding their banners and placards aloft. They move off, and the camera's in front of them, filming them, and they march jubilantly straight towards me, straight out of the telly. Women like me. I text our Maisie back, and I say, "Let's call the baby Greta." She texts back, "All right, sorry." When Greta's big enough, we'll make her our own little placard, and it'll say, "Imponderable." That'll show Bob at the dump. No one will get it, but we don't care. We'll be doing something together. I'm going to wear this when our Maisie gets wed. Totally recyclable.